In the heart of an abandoned laboratory, we watch the camera hover over a familiar face, a woman hunched over with a different look to her now. In a scientist's coat, toiling around tirelessly, we watch as this figure dances across the lab. The air is thick with the hum of power, an eerie glow emanating from the numerous devices as she meticulously constructs a device. This device, a towering... what's the word I'm looking for? Scary, ambiguous, large device in the corner of the room has gears and wires and otherworldly components, which you can tell was designed to harness the power of bleed. A force that has already claimed the lives of one soldier's troop years ago. We see an image of that same soldier as an image flashes before the camera, and we watch this soldier pull up a pistol and start shooting other monstrosities where his leg was severely hurt on the floor before a flash of bright light and silence took over. The camera then refocuses its image again around the lab in present day, where we watch this person huddle over their equipment. In the background, you can see a shadow floating and flickering, their forms ever changing. These spectral entities are manipulated by the very technology that she has devised. She reached for a sealed glass cylinder containing a swirling dark essence to capture soul of a powerful entity. One that she has deliberated from an ancient and forbidden tomb long ago is now back in her possession. Thanks to the astrolabes now being turned off in the Fourth Pharaohs, she has the ability now to try and bring back those that we thought were once lost. We watch as the camera turns to watch this figure gaze downwards towards their scattered notes and the ancient artifacts she has collected. She knew that there were still untapped sources of power, still sealed entities that could provide the strength she needs. The humming of the machine behind her gets louder, and we watch the camera bring into the focus this machine in the corner of the room. The sound of the machine hisses as it finishes to wind down, and we hear a yet familiar growl from years ago resurface. The hand of the being slams against the side of the opening to the machine, and we watch as it steps out from the darkness into the light. The camera continues to zoom out as we watch now this familiar figure lift their head up with a devious smile on their face. And we watch as Annie smiles back at the camera, and the camera fades to black. In the early evening, 2 days after voting day has happened, we watch the camera zoom into a house which stands proudly among the well-manicured lawns and stately homes of the affluent neighborhood of Briar Green. It's a grand 2-story structure with large windows and a wraparound porch. The epitome of the early 1900s elegance. All seems serene and tranquil, with the chirping of birds and the gentle rustling of leaves in the breeze. Inside, the layout is a spacious and inviting home. The front door opens into a wide foyer, leading directly to the living room on the left, where plush sofas and ornate rugs created a cozy atmosphere. Beyond the living room, the dining room featured a large, yet polished table surrounded by high-backed chairs set under a sparkling chandelier. The kitchen, located at the back of the house, was a marvel of modern convenience, with white cabinets, a large wooden dining table in the center, and a gleaming wood-burning stove. Upstairs are 2 bedrooms that are connected by a narrow hallway. The first room, a master bedroom, which is tastefully decorated with a large 4-poster bed and matching dresser. The second room, filled with memories of the past, scientific diplomas, achievements are hung on the wall, a desk in the corner of the room, and then the camera pauses as we watch a lit picture of 3 scientists huddled around together, and a nameplate that can be found on the desk, Wendy Darling. As the camera passes over the name, a piercing scream can be heard, shattering the quiet morning air. The camera hurries its way downstairs, where we can find a revealing scene of utter horror. Then the camera effortlessly passes through the wall outside as we see 2 investigators running towards the sound of the scream. Matron Myra and Cecily. Hopefully I said that correctly. I'm gonna butcher it, I know it. The camera first gets on to Matron Myra. What does your character look like?
Matron Myra is a picture of classic, traditional, black and white appearance. It is a similar to the time period's Red Cross style nursewear, if we were comparing it to modern day age, where it is a like a black underneath turtleneck long sleeve dress to the ankles with a white apron on the top. And a little bit of a collar with 3 gold circles on the collar, and long black hair that is always tied into a very tight bun in the back, and there's never a single strand out of place. And that is mostly it. She's a little tall for what most might consider a little skinny, but that's it.
The camera then quickly passes on to the person. Where are you positioned, Cecily? What does your character look like?
I feel like Cecily is likely in the lead, in front of Matron Myra, leading the way. She is the type to charge in, despite the fact that she doesn't look well equipped to. She has her hair cut into a short bob and has clearly spent a lot of time perfectly pinning these pin curls in place and then combing them out. And she does have her makeup done impeccably. She clearly spends a lot of time on her appearance. She is dressed mostly in very dark colors, a black blouse with a boat neck, and she looks to be at first glancing wearing a long ankle-length skirt, high-waisted, but upon closer inspection, if you're paying attention, it's actually very billowing, wide-legged pants that just have enough fabric to have the appearance of skirts. And she is very clearly single-focusedly, we are charging and there's something going on here and we need to get there before something else happens that would prevent us from doing that.
Okay. As you guys approach this beautiful home after hearing a scream that comes from what you expect to be this house, you are met with this front door. The front door is locked. There is a glass pane that you can see on the side of it that, if it was broken, you could probably stick your hand through to unlock the door. There are other entry points as well in this home. You could find there are 2 windows, one to your left and one to your right. They are covered by curtains. You can see that even though the windows are shut, the curtains look like they move on their own. There is on the side of the house a passageway that would take you to the back of the home. That could possibly be another entryway. So, investigators, what do you decide to do?
Can I pull out a bleed detector?
Absolutely. I would like to know why you would like to pull out a bleed detector.
I would like to see if specifically she pulls out these eyeglasses and puts them on, and I'm going to be looking at the windows that the curtains are moving on. I want to see if something supernatural might be doing that, or if it may be, I don't know, they have a ceiling fan.
Sure. Absolutely.
Specifically hoping to see if maybe it's coming from the backyard or something like that.
Sure.
I want to go in whatever entrance will bring me the closest to whatever's going on.
Absolutely. Myra, what would your character like to do right now?
Well, I always keep a needle and thread. Can I pick the lock with the needle?
Absolutely. I want you to roll the first one of tonight. So,
Oh, the worst roller. I am notoriously. I
believe in you.
with a 1.
we
so let's do
believe in
it.
you. Chat believes in you as well.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do. So let's go ahead and do the first roll of tonight, and that will be. Let's do a control roll. We're gonna do a control roll, and we're gonna do a control roll because it's finessing. You're finessing your way into this lock, and is there anything that you're saying, anything that you're doing while you're trying to finesse this lock?
See if you can get it open, and I'll see if there might be a better entrance in case you can't.
Okay.
All right. So.
I'm always right. Double 3s.
Double 3s. So
Always
here's what's going to happen. You're gonna tell me how you fail. How do you fail this lockpick?
So, it's one of those moments of I go to the door and I take out my needle and I try to sort of pick the lock, but because of the scream and the need for executing things quickly in this moment, this is not a task that is a traditional skill that I have necessarily learned in my upbringing, and I think the anticipation, the anxiety is essentially, and also the fact that a needle is not particularly the tool you should be using to lockpick, it's not at all formatted for it, is sort of causing it to take way too long and inevitably not work.
Sure. Cecily, are you going to stand there while she tries to pick the lock, or will you go around the back? The choice is up to you.
I think I'm moving around trying to get a good look at every window I can and see if any are standing out to me as something might be nearest to that window in particular.
Sure. So when you take your bleed detector out, you're going to notice that your bleed detector doesn't give you a pinpoint accuracy of what's going on. And here's the reason why. As
it's everywhere, isn't it?
Matron Myra is starting to pick this lock, you're going to feel a rush of wind, almost a sense of pressure, an enormous amount of pressure that is expelling from this home. So the bleed detector, yes, would normally tell you where the bleed is coming from. It is all over this home.
I break that little glass window to get to the inside of the doorknob and unlock it.
So as you hear this glass shatter, she reaches her hand in. Myra, have you done this before?
despite the way I appear, quite a few times.
So, Myra reaches around, unlocks the door, and as soon as the door is unlocked, you feel an immense amount of pressure coming through that front door. Both of you take a bleed.
I mean, Justin and Fish had to take 2, so we're doing okay. Our actions actually caused this one.
As you're standing outside of this door, you can feel a presence of something. Matron Myra, you felt a presence like this before. You have not felt this amount of pressure in a really long time. You've been with Candela for a short time, and you faced a lot of things, but this presence is extremely strong. As you guys enter, what would you like to do?
Did I get a sense of whether the scream was on an upper floor or lower when we heard it, or were we too far away?
You were still a little too far away before you can really
Are there
clear.
any lights on in the home that I can tell?
This is evening time, so there are lights, but they're not. This area is well illuminated with electricity. However, in this particular home, the electricity doesn't seem to be working. However, you do see candle lights that are turned on throughout the home. So this home is illuminated by the candle light.
Got it. Myra,
I'll go right in. I'm gonna start walking through it to see what we.
Oh yeah, I'm going in. I'm just trying to decide where within to head towards.
Well, assuming there's nothing immediately when we step through, gotta go upstairs, gotta go through the kitchen, kind of sweeping it. So, wherever the first place leads us, do we walk into a stairway or walk into a living room?
So when you're met with this door opening, the camera is going to hover over both of your shoulders, kind of giving you both a silhouette. And the camera's going to cut now to... We're going to cut to Echo, Victor, and Diantha. And we're going to watch as the camera watches a carriage door close. And the camera's going to pull out as we watch Victor Ramos get out of the carriage and head towards a building in which he thinks he could find some answers to what happened at the art gallery the other night. The carriage pulls off and the camera follows in suit. And inside the carriage, we find Diantha and Echo as they sit and catch up on the events that are happening or have happened a couple days ago. What are you guys talking about?
You said it was 2 days since the election, right?
Since the election.
And we have been at the art gallery this whole time?
This whole time.
Okay. I would say during this period of time, Diantha would have kind of shared with Echo any bit of information that she has written down about, like the bleed, any kind of spooky stuff, for lack of a better word, everything that she's experienced that goes bump in the night, which for Echo, that would look like stories of treating patients who have been like taken over by bleed in different ways. So at one point of time, her first patient, the bleed took over his eye, and it just ate away at his eye. and she'll explain to Echo if she's seen like spirits or what she thinks are spirits, just kind of sharing the information over the next couple of days, the last 2 days, to try and get them kind of on the same page. And she would definitely be asking Echo if she had experienced anything like this, or if she spoke to spirits or through the bleed and that kind of thing. And if speaking through another figure was kind of like a gramophone in a sense, where like Echo knows what's going on, but how that all works. She's just trying to kind of make sense of what she knows versus like what Echo has experienced, essentially.
Echo makes it a point to sit to your right, so that you are on her left side, so that her kind of birthmark situation is pointed away, and she very, very tactfully kind of is able to engage in this conversation with you about weird supernatural stuff, but she's very careful to not disclose anything about where she pulls her weird connection from, but she speaks about it as though it's been a constant, like her whole life. She's always had like a hand kind of on the veil, like she's always had like a way to kind of feel bleed, but she doesn't really. She's very careful not to disclose any details about it. Just that she is familiar with the specific, like speaking through spirits, seeing spirits, that sort of thing. She's careful to express that she's very familiar with that and will share what knowledge she has about that, but is very careful not to even remotely share any details about where it comes from for her.
Okay. Echo will also get a little bit of information that Diantha doesn't always know where it's coming from either. Since Echo experienced, for the new players, Diantha's sister, Echo will get the backstory of her sister basically playing with fire, and that is where a lot of the bleed originates for Diantha, or at least that's where she thinks it originates most of the time, other than with Candela.
I would like to point out, though, that while Echo doesn't disclose any of the details as to where it's coming from, she doesn't seem like she doesn't give off the impression that she doesn't know. Okay. Maybe she's pretending to some degree. Maybe she does know exactly what's happening, but she's not giving the impression that like she's in the dark about it.
Okay. I'd love to hear it.
Yeah. As we continue to progress, as the camera watches the two mutuals, can we call them friends? Can we call them work buddies, co-workers? Continue to talk about their situations. The camera's going to cut once again to the situation we were just left off, and we watch the camera zoom out as the silhouette is now more predominant between Myra and Cecile Lee. I'll get it. Cecily. Haha, got it. All right, Cecily. Myra, before you enter, you start to hear a melody. A melody, again, you haven't heard in a while. You hear this melody and your head begins to pound. What are you gonna do?
I still go forward.
I don't hear this, to be clear.
You do not. As you continue to move forward, the camera follows you almost as a floating guide next to your face. You look to the left and you see the living space. Don't see anything. Everything seems to be normal. When you look at the window, the curtains continue to move. I'm not gonna make you roll for this because you are experienced Candela members and you can pretty much diagnose that the reason why the curtains are moving is because of the intense supernatural activity that is occurring in this home. It is a lot of pressure. Think of a wind tunnel and an immense amount of wind that is pushed up against you. That is the pressure you currently both feel while you walk into this home. What happens to both of you happens to you at the same exact time. So, Myra, we'll start with you. Myra, you feel this immense pressure around you. And as you do, blackness starts to almost dot-like appear in front of your eyes. And in an instinct, as you close your eyes to try to wipe them away off your vision, you're brought in front of a hallway. This hallway is long and narrow, and it extends almost forever. There's a nursery rhyme that you keep hearing in your head, and it gets louder and louder. You notice that the walls are clean 1 second, but then blink, and the walls start to drip black ichor from the ceilings and the side of the walls.
Oh my god.
Symbols appear in front of you, and scratch marks start to appear out of nowhere on your arm. These are small incisions, they're nothing to worry about. But it does start to move up your arm. What would you like to do?
Are they open wounds or are they simple scratches?
Simple scratches.
We've been here before, we can do it again, we keep going.
What are you looking for?
Whatever was screaming.
What are you feeling?
A mixture of the feeling that everything is sort of headed in your direction, and even though you have an inkling and an ideology of what's at the end of the tunnel, that doesn't mean you like what's at the end of the tunnel. But you go through the tunnel, and you always come out the end of the tunnel. And I think all of those are welled up and capped with a cork the same way they always are, waiting to explode like a little champagne bottle.
You get to the door at the end of the hallway after fighting through these emotions. Do you open it?
Yes.
The door opens, and as you glance through the door, the camera then shifts. Again. And this time, Cecily. This is a much different scene for you. You see a person in front of you. A younger version of someone you know. Someone you fell in love with. Who's that you see?
That is Glenn. And he looks like he should have gotten a haircut a full month ago now. Is this because I've been doing this for a time now? Is this the first time a phenomena has tried to leverage this against me?
Yes.
Yeah, she absolutely freezes there. I think this pressure already, it's hard to breathe in that kind of situation. I imagine it's like that, the air when there's about to be a tornado coming in nearby. There's this very unique pressure to the air, and I always find it to be stifling and difficult to breathe there. And it just gets caught in her chest.
Your husband looks at you and extends a hand. He pulls you close and cups your face in a very endearing way. It's nice to see you, dear.
You were here? Was it this? Was it the same? This is
as real as it gets. Do you not feel this? And he cups your face closer.
It was this then. Okay, we need to find it and get you out.
As you say that, the vision blurs away, and you find yourself sitting down, sitting across from him once again. Again, you recognize this place as the day that you guys went on your first date. What does it look like?
The first official date or the first date? This is a different thing.
Sure, a first official date.
I think it was very simple. And I think it was something that they had done multiple times before. I think Glenn took her just to a little cafe that was near their workplace. And they ordered the same thing they had ordered many times before, sometimes to sit there and sometimes just her picking it up to go to bring to him. It's the same thing, but this time they had talked about it. And the thing, they had been both thinking it for a long time, and other people had been thinking it for a lot longer than they had. And not much feels like it changed. It's warm and cozy in there. Just that humidity that comes from the steam of warm drinks and baked goods. It's just cozy, and it's a quiet moment after what was probably a very hectic week for them. End of a semester or something like that.
He grabs you by the hand. I missed this.
Well, we'll just have to make sure we make the time. That's what we do.
He picks you up as a gentleman would. Holds onto your hand, your fingers now interlaced. And you walk towards the highest point in New Fair. And you watch the sunrise together. And he puts his head on your shoulder. He just says, "Stay with me."
If I don't, who's going to make sure that everything is taken care of for you? And I can't stand the thought of it not being taken care of for you.
Where do you have to go? I'm right here. And the camera will cut.
That's not what he said, was it?
I don't know. The camera will cut before you can answer. To the front door of the Darling's house. And we watch as the camera starts outside of the house, and we watch the carriage pull up to the house. The camera watches as both Diantha and Echo exit the carriage and make their way up the steps. As you near the front door, a palpable, almost crushing spiritual pressure descends upon both of you. Take a bleed. The air feels
Just got here.
thick and heavy. Each breath is a struggle, as if an unseen force was weighing you guys down as well. The once stately home that was pristine when Matron Myra and Cecily came in looks different. It now feels like a sense of dread has come over the house. The windows look dark and unwelcoming. What do you guys do?
Well, clearly we know there's bleed here. There's
Oh, yes.
I would like to and you can let me know if if I should use an ability here or if I should just roll for it. I could use my occult researcher here, where it's the take one brain mark to ask the GM for important occult details that you would recognize from your studies, but has not yet been revealed in this scene. If there are none, clear the brain mark. Or if you would like me to roll for it, but I would like to look for what looks like the least bleedy area instead of just walking right through the front door.
Sure. So I'm not going to make you roll for this because this is all too familiar to you.
Yes, it is.
This is the work of Peter. But this amount of pressure is different here. It's not the same as your first two encounters with him. This is a whole nother level. This feels different, stronger, and I'll leave you with that.
Okay. Go ahead.
I actually have a thing that when I take a bleed mark, I also gain just a little bit of info about the phenomenon that harmed us.
Absolutely, Echo.
It's the best power.
I'm a walking bleed detector. This is my thing.
Absolutely.
Literally the best ability.
So, Echo, as you feel your bleed go through you, how does bleed affect Echo?
I think it varies from instance to instance, but 99% of the time, it kind of is this force that goes through her skin, through her limbs, and kind of concentrates itself at her eye, and she feels this kind of thumping from within her head of just like, you know that feeling when you're like getting a little bit of a headache or a little bit of migraine. You can feel this kind of pulsing force behind your eyes. It's right there. She can feel it. In this moment, I think as the kind of bleed hits her,
Sure.
It feels like that same like when you open your front door. And it's like super, super hot and humid outside, and you just get hit with this wave of like, it's almost like you're swimming while you're walking.
Sure.
That's what I think it feels like to her, as this whole wave kind of covers her in this feeling of just uncomfy, muggy weirdness, and then it all starts to channel towards her eye.
Sure. Love that description so much, because this is what you see. As you feel all of that coursing through your body, you feel images being shown to you immediately. And you can see Wendy. You can see a dark presence. Can't really make out what or who it is. You can tell that this is a dark room. You know in the right place because you can sense it's close, but you don't know where it is yet.
Echo kind of like stumbles as she walks forward, as this kind of vision essentially hits her. She kind of stumbles on her feet and then gets her footing, and then just kind of stands there and like does a once over of the whole room as she's just trying to like process it. And then once she does so, she tries to like verbalize the feeling that she's just had to Diantha. I don't know if it comes out in any way that makes sense, but it's something to the effect of like something about Wendy and a dark figure and kind of ambiguous details other than that.
Are you all right?
I think so. Oy.
This Peter figure, do we both have shadows? I feel like... Do we have shadows in this moment?
This feels like a Doctor Who episode, I'm not gonna lie.
Undetermined at this
The number
point.
of times that we've had to ask, do we have shadows?
Undetermined at this time, as the light source isn't close enough to determine whether you not have shadows.
Okay, fine. Keep an eye on the shadows as we go anywhere, actually. Peter seems to have... I don't know if we got Peter's name. Never mind. This shadowy figure seems to have gotten much stronger. You seem to sort of lose your balance for a moment. Are you quite all right? You said something about images of a dark figure or something. Who? Just one?
Yes, I don't really control the information that I understand, but and it can occasionally be difficult to process, but I'm okay. But there was definitely some dark figure and Wendy.
Wendy. All right. That's
daughter,
That's
if I recall correctly.
Yes, that's important. And we got Wendy's name, right?
Yes, you do.
Okay, perfect. I think in this moment, Diantha would mention John and Michael and the experience that they had at the asylum and try and explain a little bit more of what they experienced.
I think that was done in the car. In the carriage over.
Just saying this out loud to make sure.
No, I'm just letting you know when it was done.
Perfect. So we should probably be careful. It might sound odd, but I feel like we could see any of them at any time. So just keep an eye out. I know that seems weird to keep saying it, but if we should find your other circle members if you know they're here.
Do they feel like they're here?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
Echo does.
Echo nods. I think at this point, Echo very much it's becoming, I think Diantha would pick up on, it's becoming very clear that Echo kind of wants to be friends in some capacity, but is having a very hard time not being distant. Like it's just a habit. It's just a way that she has gone about existing, and it's very difficult for her to even remotely be like friendly. And in the interactions that they've had thus far, she's very much she's very much like fighting her own like nature, because she wants to be close with someone who knew Alice and B, who could potentially help her understand more about the bleed shenanigans. So it's just like this like anytime she like speaks to Diantha, I feel like there's this very like tangible feeling of like, oh, she's trying.
She's doing her best. I love it.
Yeah. What do you guys decide to do with all this information?
We should have a look around.
Yeah. I want to find the least spooky area to get into, where there feels like there's less bleed.
So the floor is pretty clear. Where you see bleed is mostly on the walls, dripping from the ceiling. You can maneuver around the location without having to touch the icky stuff.
Okay.
So, yeah, you can definitely move around without having to touch all the black substance.
Just making sure.
At this particular moment, however, both of you start to almost drift away, but you're not falling asleep. You're feeling weightless. You're feeling a sense of gravity leaving you, but you're still touching the floor. I would say it's almost like vertigo. And both of you, all of this happens at the same exact time. And we're going to start with Diantha.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It was nice knowing you.
Okay, bye.
Not again.
I hate that, actually.
Diantha, as you continue to walk through this home, you start to hear whispers everywhere. And the laughter you hear becomes clearer to you. A spectral image of your sister is now in front of you. She's now floating around you in a playful manner. As you continue to hear whispers get louder. And for a moment, she disappears. but then appears behind you and whispers in your ear, "You were always the favorite." Flashes of your mom and dad are presented in front of you, and you're transported to your home as a younger child. The scene is now shown with your parents and your sister in front of you. What is going on?
I would say that all four of them are sitting in a very ornately decorated dining area, and there are various papers scattered across the table, and all four of them look like they're gathered around, well, all three, her mother, Diantha, and Eleonora, are gathered around her father, Richard, as he is sitting at the head of the table, poring over these papers that are scribbled with facts, figures, plans of essentially business plans, information about bleed, information about medical context, and to somebody who would be looking at it just like randomly, it would just look like a bunch of textbook information. But her father, Richard, would reach down and pull a specific piece of paper and grin at Diantha, directly at Diantha. And he would be like, "Well done, my girl," as he hands her this piece of paper. And on this piece of paper, there are drawings of like the human heart, and then plants, like just about 4 or 5 very intricate plant drawings, and she's got scribbles all down the piece of paper as she grabs the piece of paper from his hand, and she kind of does this little like twirl with it in her hands and is just so excited. And she's like, "I knew I'd figure it out. It was easy. I didn't need Eleanor's help at all. But I'm sure," and she's gonna like glance at her sister, "I'm sure she could have assisted in some way, but I've learned so much. I'm sure all 3 out of 4 of these plans will be very helpful for you, Father," as she places the piece of paper back down in front of him.
You're going to glance over to your sister, and at this moment in time, you could tell that she has a smile on her face. You can tell it's a genuine smile at first. But then her eyes wince, and it becomes of a smile that's more sinister. She runs up to your drawings, and here the memory becomes a little fuzzy. But she grabs one of your drawings and mimics your exact expression, where she twirls around. But right as she's about to hand it to your father, she tears it.
You can see her face drop as she like scrambles to reach for it, like as kind of like a little kid would. This is peak sibling energy.
The scene changes once again, and the both of you are now talking to each other. You're older. There seems to be a dispute between the two of you. What are you guys talking about?
I would say that they are now in a room filled with beakers and plants all over the place, and bottles filled with like weird liquid and like possibly a couple of eyeballs. Who knows? Maybe. And they are arguing at Diantha's workstation now as her sister slams down a vial full of black ichor. And she goes, "You should be able to do something with this. If you're so spectacular, why can't you figure this out?" And she slides the bottle across Diantha's workspace. And Diantha just stares at it for a second. And she goes, "You know, I can't. Actually, what you're proposing is preposterous. You've seen what this does, and I simply can't. It doesn't matter how much we've seen and experienced. It doesn't matter. It's not safe. I won't do it."
There is an exchange of words that happen that are muffled to our ears. You know exactly what she's telling you. But loud and clear as day, she grabs the vial and looks at you straight into your eyes and yells out, "Why do you think you're better than everyone else?" and smashes the vial in front of you.
Oh.
And then we're going to cut
Okay.
to Echo. Echo.
Woo!
Echo. The camera shifts to you. And we watch the camera zoom out a bit. Spectral images run in front of you as almost if there were after images of people that you love and care about. And you watch as one by one they disappear. And you're filled with a room empty. You hear the dripping noise of water as you stand alone in a dark room. How do you feel right now?
I think Echo is a little bit overwhelmed at the weirdness of the sensation. She's very used to kind of constantly processing the kind of extra layer of the world that she sees at all times, but I think right now she's a little bit overwhelmed with kind of that hit of bleed, plus the feeling of floating, plus this weird after image situation happening around her, and she's trying to stay grounded. She's trying very, very hard. I promise that wasn't a pun that I was trying to make. She's trying to stay grounded, and like keep her bearings, because she knows that like she and Diantha aren't safe where they are right now. Like there's rarely a time when they're just safe. And especially with this happening, like she needs to be able to think, but she's kind of just getting hit with a lot. And is mentally just like I think the biggest emotion that she's feeling is isolation, especially kind of being faced with these after images of people that she loves and people that she knows and people that she once knew. She's feels alone, and that is the most infective feeling for her. It's the one that like seeds itself the best in her soul and makes it really hard for her to kind of like move past it. And she's trying very hard to kind of like fight it, is essentially what's happening in her brain.
We're going to experience the sound of silence as the camera pans around Echo. The sense of dread hits you. Of being alone, of being shunned away, put into a corner, no one will pay attention to you. And then the camera shifts once again. And we watch as the camera pans outside. But instead of being inside the home, we watch a person we've never seen before arrive to the scene as they call. They got called about a scream earlier that night and is now approaching the home. Emma, describe your character as they approach the Wendy Darling's house.
So, whenever Virginia approaches a potentially dangerous situation, she's always very cautious. But she's not necessarily sneaking. Hearing that there was a scream, it means she's already late. There is danger here, and it needs to be confronted quickly. She has a mahogany club in her hand, one that her father gave her a long time ago when she first started with the Periphery. And she's clutching it very tightly. She sees the broken glass on the door. I assume it's wide open, correct?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Okay. She is, as soon as she sees that, she's rushing forward, just, hello? Is someone in trouble? And calling into the house.
You don't hear anything in return.
Police, I'm coming in. And she enters very quickly, trying to get a view of the inside and see if there's any signs of where someone could be if there is any distress.
Sure. So, as you enter to this room, into this building, you take 2 bleed.
Oh boy.
This is something you've never experienced being around the OUP, the Office of Unexplained Phenomenon. You are accustomed to seeing the weird, the unnatural. However, you've never been on scene before while something is still occurring.
Mm-hmm.
We watch the camera hover over the shoulder of our young... What's your rank?
She's only been there a year, so she's still very much like a brand new detective. I don't think she has any rank yet.
We're gonna call her a rookie off the good old block. She is a detective first class. Arriving on the scene, you yell into the void. The void does not answer, which is odd to you because you know as a detective, anytime you yell into an empty space, there's always sound that bounces back. However, when you do it this instance, there is no sound that returns. It's as if the house swallowed it whole. You enter into this building, you don't even know what to call it right now. This thing that you've now have felt the effects of bleed enter your body. How does bleed affect a rookie, someone who has never felt bleed before?
I think the sensation almost hits her like a freight train and knocks the wind out of her. It's like all the air is like this, almost like the house swallowed the sound she made. It also swallows the air, and she feels like she can't breathe for a minute. And she's trying desperately to take in air and just can't.
As you feel the effects of bleed take over your body, You're gasping for air, but are able to catch your breath. I'm not going to make you move roll for this, because you're going to move out of the way just in time as Black Ichor falls right between where you used to stand. And you watch the thing splat onto the floor.
Look.
You have 3 choices to where you could go. You can go straight forward, which is up the stairs. You can go to the left, which is a room. To the right, which is another room. But there's a hallway also towards the right that leads towards the back, which is where the kitchen can be seen. Where would you like to go first?
As terrifying as this is, her instincts are going to kick in. She needs to check all the rooms and know that everything is... that there's no one there before she moves up. So she's going to tuck into that first room. That's directly to the left, I believe.
Yes, very good.
And just rush on in. The faster she can clear this, the faster she can escape whatever the hell is happening.
So, the room that you've walked into is where we can see Matron Myra. You can clearly see Matron Myra right now. However, Myra cannot see you. What you see in front of you, and this is a content warning for those who are squeamish, this is now the time to turn back a bit. When you walk into this room, you can see Myra lifted into the air as she's floating 3 feet off the ground. Her eyes and head are tilted towards the ceiling, and her mouth is gaped wide open. You can see that there's black ichor coming from her shoulders down to her arms, and they are slowly dripping to the floor. What do you do?
I'm sorry, so just to clarify, is the ichor dripping to the floor, or are her arms...
Her arms are covered in ichor, and it's dripping from her arms to the floor.
Okay.
Melty arms.
Virginia's mouth is agape for a moment, as last thing she expected to see was someone floating in the air today. And she looks up. Oh God. And is going to run up to Myra and try and see if she can find a source of why she's floating, if there's some way to get her down, where this ichor is coming from,
sure,
and if it's influencing it.
So you don't need to roll for this, because you can totally see that from the ceiling, it's dripping down onto Myra. So she is covered in this black ichor, but as you notice around the house, the ceiling's pretty covered in ichor. So there's not really a particular source that is coming from. You just know that she's currently covered in it. What you can assess from being trained in the OUP is that she is under a trance. And if someone's under a trance, you can wake them up.
Okay. Do I know how?
You tell me.
I don't know if it's been explained to her yet. She's never been to a scene during a supernatural event of any kind.
As a detective in the OUP, you do anything to protect the public.
Mm-hmm.
She's in need. And that sometimes means being creative on the job.
Absolutely. And I think in that moment, her first instinct is going to be doing her best to avoid the ichor. She's going to find somewhere that Myra is not covered in ichor.
Sure.
A leg, shoulder, anything, and just pinch, as if trying to wake someone up from a bad dream.
Sure. We're gonna cut the camera to where Myra is, opening the door to the hallway. She sees another hallway. But this time, there are spectrals in front of you. Black monsters start to creep down from the ceiling on the sides of the wall as they look to you side to side. You do not know that there is someone trying to help you get out of this trance. What's your first instinct?
Have they noticed me?
They're looking straight at you. They haven't moved, though.
Take a step forward.
They take a step forward.
I take a step back.
They take a step back.
I continue to do little things to see how much they mirror me, like hand, fingers, things like that. I take out my needle and I stab it into my arm.
When you do take a body, the camera will cut to where Virginia is standing, and what you see is Myra taking out a needle and stabbing her arm. And you notice she doesn't respond.
At that, she's immediately going to tend to the wound in whatever way she can. Remove the needle.
Okay.
And I think at that point it's gonna be like, ma'am, you have to wake up, and start shaking her. She's not really sure what else she can do except scream at Myra at that point, doing her best to get her breath back.
Sure.
Despite all of the pressure she felt from the bleed.
Sure. You're going to feel a pressure, Myra, as the camera cuts to you, and as this thing looks like it's about to open its mouth to say something to you, you're pulled out of that vision, and you feel yourself fall to the floor. You see Virginia standing next to you.
I'm sorry, I probably should have called you. Are you all right?
Who are you?
I'm sorry, my name's Virginia May Clear. I'm part of the OUP. I was called about a scream coming from the house. Was that you?
Wasn't me. No, we're looking for it.
There are more people in the house.
Yes,
Where?
it's a great question.
Well, then we better start looking. There's a lot of strange going on here, and I don't like it.
I'm gonna take a moment to pause and say hello to Spencer Stark in the chat. Hello. Hi. We love you. Thank you so much for stopping in and saying hello. And we're gonna jump right back in to this intense scene as the two of you move on through this house. We watch you guys enter another room, and in this other room we see Diantha. Diantha is not in the same spot as we watched Matron Myra. We see the camera pan to Diantha, and you are in the middle of a heated conversation with your sister. She just slammed a vial in front of your face. You hear the whispers getting louder, and behind you, you watch your sister whisper into your ear. Why don't you come find me?
Where are you? I know you're not where Kaz and I left you. There's no way. Everything's been broken.
No. I'm not there. Why don't you come home and find out?
Are you there?
As you respond, Virginia walks into the room and you watch Diantha fall to the floor.
Virginia almost dives forward, trying to make sure her head doesn't hit the wood of the floor.
You successfully catch her. I'm not going to make you move for that. What do you guys say?
Am I
awake. You're awake.
able? Okay.
Ma'am, are you all right?
Who? Thank you. I suppose. Please let me go.
Of course.
And before she pushes. Oh, okay. Well, when she grabs her arm, you're gonna feel Diantha clutch your arm a little bit, and almost, I don't want to say dig her fingers into your skin, but she's definitely checking to make sure you're real as Virginia helps her to her feet.
Mm-hmm. And she kind of looks at your hand for a moment in confusion, knowing that you weren't necessarily intending harm, but that you were doing something, and she's not sure why.
I apologize, as she steps away a little bit and adjusts herself. You're not somebody who lives here, no.
No, I'm a part of the periphery. I was called about a scream. Was that you?
Right. It was not, but we're sort of here for the same reason, I suppose.
Okay, and
Am I the first person you've seen?
second, and she's gonna turn to look for Myra and see if she was following.
I probably would have followed.
Okay.
How close are you, Myra?
A good 5 feet or so behind her.
She's so quiet, it's terrifying on its own right.
How tall is Myra?
Ooh. We're looking at at least 5'8", 5'9". She's tall.
She's just standing.
Basically, yeah, she's kind of in the doorway, just
Were the two of you both here together?
No.
not particularly.
Okay.
And you are. And she'll look from Virginia to Myra at the door. Well, the both of you are who, I suppose.
Virginia May Cleary. It's a pleasure. Wish it was under better circumstances.
Yes.
Matron Myra, I'm here with Circle of the Sunstone Shredder.
Oh, yes. And that. Oh. Echo is. Where is. And Diantha's gonna look around the room for Echo, because in that moment she realizes that she's not next to Echo.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where would you guys like to go?
Echo.
There's the back and upstairs still left.
Echo is here. I was in the front. I was in the front of the house with Echo, and then we got dizzy and sort of turned around. It's hard to explain. And then I was here, and then I was down with some other bits in between, but that's not important. Where have you, both of you, been so far?
There was a first room that I checked, and then we came in here to look where you were. We haven't checked the back kitchen yet.
All
Or
right.
upstairs.
Well, I would say if you're both comfortable with the kitchen first before we go up.
Of course.
Better to clear the bottom floor first.
Precisely. If you would like to lead the way, Myra, was it?
Sure, I don't mind. And I'll head towards the direction.
As you guys head towards the back, the camera cuts to a very different scene. And we watch as Cecily, the sun is setting, and his head, Glenn's head, is on your shoulder. He kneels down towards you, almost as if it was the first time he proposed. Grabs your hand, kisses it. I marry you again in a heartbeat.
God. Good thing you don't need to. That you hated having all of those people swarming around you, and we can just enjoy this together, okay?
Yeah, but you were the right choice.
At the interview or later?
Details. And he grabs your hand again, he kisses on it, interlaces his fingers again. You guys walk yourselves to the boardwalk. Just a lovely evening stroll.
All right, what's that one then specifically? She's like gesturing up at some gull that's flying by, like pecking at some sort of boardwalk food that they're selling here.
He describes it in the way you remember.
He knows the Latin name.
I do not. He does.
It's okay, I don't either. Hey, I can tell you some insect Latin names, not birds.
I do not know the Latin name, but Glenn does. So we're gonna say Glenn is able to spat it out. And he goes by one of the stalls that are selling peanuts and grabs a peanut and starts throwing them up in the air towards the goal. And starts running around and almost chasing it, being a child again. And he comes back and you see him, you know, trying to make you laugh.
I pull out my camera and I take a photo.
Flash goes in front. And it's one that you remember, that you have at home, sitting on your night dresser. The memories continue to flood. He hugs you from behind, arms around your neck, not in a threatening way.
No, he couldn't be threatening even if he tried.
He just hugs you, leans on you a little bit, starts to hum your favorite song. Why go back? Everything you need is here.
That's not what he said.
What is it that he said?
I'll be back soon. It's just going to be a few days.
The camera shifts to watch Glenn board a ship with his luggage. Gets on top, gives you a wink, waves goodbye, and we watch the camera shift to Virginia. You, Diantha, and Myra approach. Cecily is sobbing. What do you do?
Can you hear us? To Cecily.
Can I? I don't think so.
You hear very faint voice. You can't make out whose it is. Myra, you have an ability. What's that ability?
Got two. Which one would you like?
Tell me, which one would you like to use?
Can I take marks retroactively?
No.
Okay,
However,
then I don't think I can use either one.
However, you can speak to people in this trance state, as you have a strong attuity to the mind.
Okay. Then, do I recognize that she vaguely heard me?
You see her shift a bit. And we're gonna go ahead and roll for this. So you're gonna roll a die. Anything less than a 3 is a fail.
Pick a different one than you rolled the first time, okay?
Don't worry, I got you a 5.
Hey,
Perfect.
let's go.
That's still a success. It's a mixed success, but it's still a success. So you're able to get through. Cecily, you can hear a voice that is not within this dream. However, can't make out who it is. And quickly, the images shift again. And you can hear Glenn asking you, "Can you hear me?"
Why wouldn't I be able to?
You're not responding.
No, I'm here.
The camera shifts to Myra. You can hear her mouth the words, "I am here."
No, you're not. I don't know who you're speaking to, but you need to wake up.
They're translated to you, but through Glenn's voice.
May I make a roll?
Sure.
Because I feel like it's not fair for me to just declare that I realize this isn't real.
Sure. Actually, you know what? Make a focus roll. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm not bad at that. I'm going to add a drive to this because I can.
Go ahead.
Can I give her one? Can I give her a drive?
Absolutely, because you're trying to break through to her.
Excellent. Thank you. So
Absolutely.
focus, you said?
Yes.
Whoops, one went on the floor. Try it again. That's a 6 on the one of those.
Nice. Do you have a
Nice.
gilded die?
Not on that one.
Sure. So you successfully realize this is not what it is. This is not what it seems.
No, that's right. We need to get you out. Glenn, we need to get you out.
His image fades. One last time. And we watch the camera drop a flower at your feet. As you pick up this flower, immediately your brought back.
Are you all right? No, I don't suspect you would be. You're going to need to wake up fast, though. We have more people to find.
Right. Matron Myra always says that we always get through the tunnel, but I feel like they've had this conversation where Cecily knows all too well that you don't always come out at the end of the tunnel, but somebody needs to make sure that somebody gets out to tell what happened within it. And she takes a second. I think she... Who's this? Who are you?
Is there any bleed on Cecily?
Oh yeah, it's all over you guys.
It's all over. It's all over. Are you feeling all right? Can you move on your own?
Yeah, I'm uninjured, right?
Yes.
Okay. It's a little hard to breathe in here, but I get the feeling that that's not just me.
Not quite. Knocked the wind right out of me.
Dude. Miss. You'll have to forgive me. I don't... Doctor... I'm so sorry. I don't remember.
Oh, your hair is much shorter.
Oh, yes.
Diantha Hartley.
Right. And...
Glenn, how's Glenn? It's been quite some time since...
Yes, it has. Presumed dead.
I'm sorry.
Who are you? Please, it's...
Oh. Virginia May Cleary.
Okay. We'll catch up later, Miss Hartley. We'll catch up later. There's still work to be done here. We have to figure out...
She brought Echo with her.
Where's Echo?
Them first.
That's
Okay.
That's what we were trying to find. I mean, I suppose we also found you as well. You're part of Myra's circle, then?
Oh, yes. Namu Harborough is our lightkeeper. I look at Virginia May.
I'm a part of the periphery. I was informed that there was a scream at this address.
Yes.
You or...
No, we heard the same and we came in hoping to help whoever's at Myra and I. You said Echo was with you, Miss Hartley?
Yes, at the front of the home, but she must be upstairs. If we should like to continue, we can chat along the way. Miss Virginia here is not a part of a circle.
North, point of clarification. Would somebody from the periphery know of Candela's existence, or would it be a secret from them as well?
OUP knows of Candela's existence. They do not work in conjunction with Candela. They actually are kind of like rivals.
Okay.
So they're...
Thank you for the clarification. I appreciate
absolutely.
it.
Mm-hmm. That's one of the reasons Diantha hasn't said Candela out loud. She said circle.
Yeah, and that's kind of... Okay.
Yeah.
Let's just make sure that everybody who was here and is here is safe and...
Yes.
Echo, how are you responding right now? You're still in this room. By yourself. How do you respond?
I think to her, this time feels like it's taking forever and like it's taking seconds. It's kind of this weird liminal experience where you're like I think she is very much has lost all grip on how much time has passed while she's been in this kind of mental space, and it feels like she's fended off like anxiety attack after anxiety attack after anxiety attack, and she keeps going between this like hyperventilation, hard to hang on to what isn't true. She is very quick to forget that there are people in her life that do care about her, and especially when she's faced with this kind of isolation, she falls into this pit of like being alone, and then she'll claw her way out of it and will just be like, I need to put on my mask again. I need to think. I need to process. And then as she goes to reprocess the information, it pulls her back into that state. And it's just been this back and forth where she is not even certain how long. It could have been forever. It could have been a couple of seconds.
Echo, your head pounds so bad right now. The stress, the mental acuity, everything that it's taking for you not to break down is really weighing on your body. You start to hear the ticking sound. It sounds like something's coming. Something is coming, and it's only a matter of time. You have the ability to reach out to phenomenon and to people who have the phenomenon, and people who have been recently touched by phenomenon. Do you reach out?
I think in this back and forth, in this kind of finding and losing control over her emotions, there's a brief moment where she is able to kind of think clearly and process and make a decision for herself before she slips back. And in that brief moment, she decides that if this is the only thing that she can do, she's going to do it, because she can't just keep constantly. And so she in the great words of prayer, she touches it.
Perfect. Go ahead and roll. I believe it's a focus roll for you.
Okie doke. That's a 5.
That's a 5. That's a mixed success. You reach out. What are you saying?
I don't think she has enough kind of control to get out a complex kind of reach out, and I think the kind of the extent of her reach out is who are you, help.
Okay. When you reach out, a voice responds. It's a familiar voice to you. It's one you've heard before. It's an Irish accent, actually. She says, "Help me." And as you hear that, the message is sent out clearly to the rest of you. You can hear Echo's voice as she is asking for help. I need you all to roll a sense roll for me to find out if you can figure out where she's at.
Let's go.
I got a 6.
Perfect.
Hey.
So if you have no points in a skill, you roll 2 dice and take the lower, correct? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
4 here.
I just got 2
boo.
6s.
Hey, that's great.
Oh, you can't crit. You can't crit if you have 0.
Oh, it was our 0 roller?
You can't. You cannot critically succeed with 0, even if you roll 2 6s.
I
However,
thought it
you can
was
spend drive
somebody
to have more
else.
than 0.
Dang.
Ah, that's so upsetting.
So,
I got a 3 on a gilded die, so
hey, look, you get
I'm
a drive
gonna-
back.
I'm gonna
Hey,
take-
you
I
get
got
the
a 1 and a
drive
6.
back.
Neither are gilded, so I'm taking the 6.
So, here's what's gonna happen. Diantha, you don't sense anything. It makes sense, because why? You just had a really stressful situation go through with your sister. Your head is still pounding. You've been yelled at. You've been through a lot the last couple of days. It kind of makes sense, the fact that you don't know what's going on and you can't really sense what's going on, because you've received a scar as well in the last couple of days that wasn't there before, the one over your eye. And for those who succeed, you all sense that Echo is not upstairs. Echo is downstairs. And that's where we're going to take a break. We're going to go ahead and start right back up where we left off. If you guys remember, we had everybody roll a sense roll to see if they could figure out where Echo is currently presiding. And thanks to the fantastic rolls that our players did, we found out that Echo is not upstairs. So they do have a sense that there is a downstairs. So where would you guys like to go next?
We're in the kitchen, right?
You are currently in the kitchen.
First place I
Echo's got
check,
this-
floor of the pantry.
Floor of the pantry. When you check the floor of the pantry, there's nothing there. It just creaks as normal pantry and what's the word? Kind of normal pantry does in old wooden floors. Even though this was built in the 1900s, you still have wooden floor that is.
I'm specifically thinking of all the common places that a cellar door would be.
Sure,
is what I'm
absolutely.
looking for. That is why I checked there first.
So-
it wasn't just random, I promise.
As you guys check the entire kitchen, you notice that there isn't really anything out of place per se. You do make sure that you are careful as you continue to survey this room, as there is black ichor falling from the ceiling and on the sides of the walls. You do find little moments and pockets of air, but there seems to be nothing out of the sorts in this particular location. Where would you like to go next?
I think Virginia would sort of lead everyone out of the kitchen, and she's not necessarily looking for she's gonna go back to the sort of work backwards as to where she found everybody. So the last place where she found Diantha, back into that living space. And I think as she goes, she's going to be sort of tapping on the floor with her boots and seeing if she can find like a hollow spot in the floor.
Sure. So as you walk through the hallway, you notice that close to where the stairs are, the floor creaks a little louder. There isn't anything on the floor per se. However, you do kind of feel air rush past you as you stomp on the floor a little more. Towards your right side, there is a wall on your right, and it's covered in portraits. But you do feel a gust of air push through that.
The wall's not covered in ichor, is it?
Not in this particular location. It does not.
Ooh.
She's gonna start feeling around the portraits to see if she can find a door in the wall. Some sort of hidden passage.
As you push
Diantha's
against...
looking at the faces in the portraits as everybody else is pushing on the wall. Just a thought.
What you see on these portraits...
I was also wondering.
We'll get back to Virginia.
Okay.
So we're gonna go ahead and address what Diantha sees. Diantha sees pictures of Wendy Darling. You see Wendy throughout the years. You see a picture of her in the university. You see a picture of her with scientists. You see a picture of her family, question mark. It looks like an old photo that's similar to the one that has 3 people on it. Something that you found at Michael Darling's or Michael Underwood's house.
She'll take that photo off the wall and crack open the back of the frame and check to see if there's anything behind the picture.
Sure.
And then also fold up the picture and take the picture.
Absolutely.
Why that one? Why that one?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was sort of
No, it's
lost
okay.
in
It's okay. Why that one?
thought. Do you see? This is Wendy here, and then this fellow here is Michael. We are sort of unsure about his actual name. It started as Michael Darling.
Okay.
And then this other person is John. It's... as we continue, I will explain a little bit more, but we encountered a lot, and it all has to do with the bleed, and not good. I would say that in moments of them moving around where they're not needing to be quiet, Diantha will inform the rest of the party about what they found at Michael Darling's house, how they found the photo under the floorboard, and Wendy's part of the photo was torn, and anything about John and Michael and the asylum she will relay to kind of thrust the party.
So, as you guys get that relay, you all have that information now that there were others, which coincides with what Naomi has mentioned to all of you. You know that Kaz has been around, but he has been in and out, and Naomi is your lightkeeper, and she's been the main point of contact. Kaz was unsure if the 3 were connected before, but he did bring in John Darling. He was able to help rescue John Darling from a shadow figure a couple days ago. And unfortunately, John was recaptured and sent back to the asylum. This is information that all of you do not know. But Diantha does. And she realizes that information to you all. She does also give you the information that Michael and John Darling are now deceased. And it is under the assumption that Wendy is now in trouble. There was a message that was sent out a couple days ago by your Echo. Echo, what was your message?
Naomi's dead. There is chaos afoot, I believe was my specific wording.
Yes. All you know and have heard receiving from that message was Naomi and chaos. That is all you know from this information that was sent to you by Echo. As you guys continue to move across this area inside of the staircase. Virginia, the camera again pans to you, but this time closer look onto your hands as you press against the wall. A door opens.
This shake just keeps getting weirder and weirder. Well, we found the basement.
No.
And she's gonna clutch the club. And I think it would be easy to see that her hand's kind of shaking at this point with all the weird shit that she's seen today. She is not having a wonderful time, but she also doesn't want to worry anybody else as she pushes the door open.
I think before she steps down, Cecily is going to just gently, not intending to startle her, trying to like be very clear. She's not trying to like sneak up on her, but put a hand on her shoulder and go, Echo is one of ours. And if you don't want to be here, we can take care of her.
I'm not leaving till I find out where that scream came from.
I don't blame you for that at all. Don't touch. And let's go.
Mm-hmm. And taking off down the stairs. Or down whatever passageway that is there.
We're going. We going.
So as you guys hear the scream, you do not know who is screaming, but you know the scream is coming from downstairs. As who's going first?
Virginia's leading the charge.
Virginia
I'll take the back.
is leading the charge. Who's taking the back?
I'll take the back.
All right, perfect. Nothing could go wrong. As you guys continue to go down the stairs, darkness seems to take over view. Diantha, your pocket gets warm.
She will pull out what I assume is the cog, correct?
Yes.
Getting warm.
Correct.
Okay. Is it making any noise, or is it just warm?
It's warm because it's currently closed.
It's true. But no. Oh yeah, it's in the box, so no music. She will hold it out a little bit as if, like when you're playing that game, like the hot and cold game as a kid, like she's like just using it to see if it gets any hotter or colder, like as they're continuing on.
Sure. As you continue to walk down the stairs, the music box seems to get louder. You can feel the heat coming through this box.
Am I the only one who can hear this?
Oh no, everyone can hear.
Okay. You're all hearing this, yes?
But why are you carrying it around? I'm assuming it's phenomena?
That's what I'm also assuming, but not sure if I'm still missing pieces of it. If you don't mind, Diantha will kind of shift closer to Virginia towards the front. As she kind of lets the music box guide them a little bit.
When you take out that one piece of cogwheel, I'm assuming you have the other two pieces with you as well. Wherever you are holding these, it is getting warmer and brighter. When you take out the rest of the pieces, as I'm assuming Diantha does, do you open the other two?
This might be a little peculiar, but might be the only way we get some answers. So be warned, as she kind of glances at everybody, and she will open the other two as well.
A melody starts to happen as you put these two together, 3 pieces together. The pieces have never been joined together. However, a couple days ago, there was an attempt to put 2 of them together, and they fit almost perfectly. This time, almost magnetically, the 3 pieces join. There are still pieces missing. However, you are starting to hear a clear melody come through. The melody you hear is the one that's currently going on.
It's
incomplete, but the melody is there.
It's missing pieces. I can't guarantee how many, but I'm sure it's important.
Is this connected to the dialings?
Yes, I think it's connected to a little bit of everything, to be honest. I found my piece, and somebody, she's going to glance quickly at Echo, spoke to me through it. Other members of my circle had different experiences.
Echo, you have come out of your trance and are looking blankly at the rest of the group. However, where Echo is sitting is only the beginning of this chamber. Echo, it's almost as if something or someone was guiding you down here. You don't know how you got here, but here you are. You are now in the basement, along with everyone else. You just woke up from being isolated.
Echo is coming down from kind of hyperventilating, and as she kind of realizes that she's back in reality, you all kind of see as she kind of takes a deep breath, and then kind of like a wave washes over her. She's composed, she's calm, she's collected, she's standing upright, and she's kind of focused on looking around to see if there is a particular direction that she's feeling drawn to now that she is kind of in her head, to see if there's maybe some sort of inclination as to what brought her down here.
Perfect. So, you guys are in this basement. Echo, the last thing you can remember is hearing someone else's voice saying, "Free me," or "Help me." That is what you are unsure of. However, you hear another scream, and this time it is a lot closer than the last time. You hear the woman scream. Do you guys run towards the scream or away from it?
Towards, immediately.
Echo runs towards it.
As you guys run towards this sound, you're met with a pretty gruesome sight. A sound that is familiar to Diantha. the growl of a beast. When you head towards the sound of Wendy's home, you're met with Wendy Darling, who's suspended midair. Her body is levitating a few feet off the ground. She's held aloft, not by anything visibly, but by an unseen force. Her face is masked with a terror. Her eyes are wide and unseeing. Her mouth is opened in a silent scream. Her arms and legs starting to contort in unnatural ways. However, as you guys look at her chest, there is movement. She is breathing. There is a creature that stands before you, and it is a man, half in the shadow, half not. Its bottom form is constantly shifting and writhing. Its eyes glow with a cold and malevolent light. His eyes, if you look a little deeper, can see seen and confused, as if it was fire, flickering in and out. His gaze is focused intently on Wendy, and black ichor is dripping now everywhere in this location, and especially from its body. As you guys get closer, you take 2 bleed each. Merging with the dark pools on the floor, this creature radiates an aura of pure evil. The spiritual pressure almost unbearable in its presence. As you guys look at Wendy, her skin is pale, almost translucent, as her veins stand out in a stark relief, pulsing with a dark energy. The room itself seems to pulse with its creature's malevolent force, and the air seems to thin, making it almost impossible to breathe. What do you guys do?
Does Diantha know that fire will help in this situation? That this is the same type of creature?
You
Perfect.
know 100%.
Because we saw, yes. Okay.
Same type or same?
Same.
It's the same one. It's the same
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't think it's just the same type.
Yeah. Anybody who has fire, get it. Whatever form, let's... do you mind, Virginia, was it, if I, let me see the club real quick. And Diantha will, I'm gonna say that in her gear, she has, like in her medical equipment, there's matches. So she's going to quickly pop out a couple of, like, however many matches it takes to, like, set a flame and set that mahogany.
We're gonna actually have you roll for these.
Okay, perfect.
All right,
Yeah.
just because we love to add additional pressure when necessary, go ahead and add a strike roll for that. And you're gonna strike the match hot. Go ahead, and we're gonna do this one at a time. So we're gonna do one action per person, which means you're gonna roll for this. We're gonna go to Echo. Echo, what is it that you would like to do?
I think honestly, being hit with another two of bleed right now, Echo is kind of stumbling backwards, and I don't think that her first thought would be, what is the thing with fire? I think her first thought would be, and so she takes like a defensive step back and tries to kind of maintain like the composure of someone who's fine, while like internally is just trying to like push back this wave of additional stress that she is now trying to like. It's like when your brain just goes with a migraine and you're like, no, not now.
Perfect. We're gonna jump to Virginia. Virginia, you took 2 bleed when you walked through the house, and then you took another 2 bleed here. that makes this your first scar. Explain to me. You don't drop out of this scene.
Okay.
However, the scar manifests right before all four of your guys' eyes. What does this scar look like, and what does it say? Or what is it called, I should say?
That's a good question. I think as Diantha reaches over and is like, may I, looking for the club, I think Virginia is frozen in fear. She thought that all the ichor and all of the weird happenings, she's never witnessed anything like that before, and she thought all of that was weird. Seeing this strange writhing creature in front of her, essentially creating this ichor in front of her, is on a whole nother level than anything that she's seen before. I think as she's staring at it, the energy from the bleed again knocks the wind straight out of her. And I think in that moment that she's trying to breathe, it's almost like ichor comes out of her mouth and stains her teeth. And that's how the scar manifests, is her teeth are now black and the same color as that ichor. I think I'm gonna call the scar Stolen Breath for that reason.
Ooh, I love that. I love that. Can we get some blankings in chat for Stolen Breath? As a mechanic in Candela Obscura, every time you take a scar, you move a skill die to another skill die. You don't have to answer this right now, but I did want to find out what your scar was named and what you would like to do in this instinct. So we're gonna pause on that and jump over to Myra to give you some time to think about that. And Myra, what are you doing?
We step into the space. We take the points of bleed. There is that feeling from before. And I want to see if I can reach out to Wendy and speak to her inside of this trance.
Sure. What would you like to say?
Wake up, or you're probably going to die in a few minutes.
We're gonna get back to that. Cecily, what would you like to do?
I would like to pull out my camera and try to take a photo of Wendy hovering in the air and this thing in the same frame.
What's your objective here? Are you trying to make it say cheese?
I'm trying to get a record of what happened here, because I am not a person who fights. I am a person who gets information and gets out.
Okay.
And my intent is to get a record of what is happening here. If my next move, when I have time, will probably be to try and help her and somehow. But right now, first priority, because that's not my specialty. That's Myra.
Sure.
That's Myra.
Sure.
I want to get information that I can bring back to other people to figure out what's going on and how do we stop this.
Sure. Understood. Okay. We're gonna go back.
Also, Flash might help. I don't know.
To Virginia. Virginia, what are the two skills that you move from?
I think I'm moving. She's losing all of her calm at this point, so I think I'm going to move a point from control to hide, because that's all she wants to do right now.
Perfect.
And as far as Diantha lights this on fire, I think she is going to nearly give in to that instinct But seeing Wendy sort of floating there and realizing that this person that she came here to save is not safe, she is going to push back every instinct in her body telling her to run.
Sure.
And as soon as Diantha lights this on fire, I think she's going to try and run it forward and strike at this thing.
All right. So here's what I want you to do. I
would like to add an additional detail to what Echo does as well, actually. So in the kind of wave of bleed, in the kind of pushing back of her kind of sanity, I think she also kind of used the bleed as almost like a conduit to mentally ping off of this thing.
Okay. Whatever
it is, just as is there anything there?
Sure.
Kind of consciousness.
Sure. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna rectify a couple things here. So, number one, Virginia, I want you to roll a move roll. And what you're doing here is you're going to see if you can actually move. You're in the state of fear. So I want to see if you can, if you're thinking you can move, if your brain says move and you move your feet, or if you're just going to stand still and think you're moving. This next thing I'd like to rectify is Pyrea's character, Diantha. Diantha, you rolled a strike roll. That was one strike roll that you needed to roll. What was your result?
Give me just a second. Oh, okay. So I did use Spencer's 1d6, and it kept me from rolling at disadvantage, and I got a 6.
Perfect.
So thank you,
Spencer.
Yeah, because it was going to be, my strike is at disadvantage, and I was like, oh no. Thank God. Ooh.
Nice.
So I got a 6.
Nice. And now we're going to go ahead and go to Myra. Myra, you asked a question, or you stated something. What was it that you stated?
I tried to speak to Wendy in her trance, and I said, wake up or you'll be dead in a few minutes.
The response that you receive back is not from Wendy. It is a more sinister voice. And the voice that you hear back is, what is it to you? And why are you here meddling with things you do not understand?
So help me understand. What do you want?
We'll get back to that answer. Echo, you do ping off of the mental acuity. You do sense something, though. You sense the voice that Myra's speaking to is not one of Wendy. You do sense that it's coming from the creature. You can attune to it if you choose to do so. However, if you do, you will take a bleed, giving you your first scar.
I think Echo would push herself and take the scar to try to help somebody else.
Okay. As you attune to this monster, and this monster is now, you can hear this conversation that is going on between Myra and this monster. Myra, there was a question you asked. Help me understand. He said you would not be able to understand him. However, something tells me there's more to you than what you are showing your friends. What is it that you seek, girl?
You're not all that powerful if you don't already know. I'll ask again. What do you want?
You're gonna hear a growl come from the depth of his soul. And as you ask that question, you're gonna watch something happen, and we're gonna veil over that to Wendy. Wendy's body is now in positions that it should not be. I would say very similar to a special show that will not be announced because I don't want any marks. Stranger, what do you think? So, strange around these parts if you understand my drift. So, we're gonna go ahead and go to Cecily. You've taken a picture of this phenomenon. When you do, the flash happens in front of you, and this monster's eyes beats towards you. As he does, I want you to roll a focus roll.
I'm gonna spend another drive because this feels important.
Oh yeah, you definitely want to use this.
Maybe I'll spend 2.
Yeah, I would if I were you.
Yeah, let's go. Let's fucking go. Oh, I get another one from the donation. Thank you so much. Yay!
Yes, you do.
That means I'm rolling 4. That one fell on the floor again.
Yes.
Highest one is a 5.
Highest one is a 5.
So succeeds.
Okay, so it's a mixed success. Here's what's going to happen. Cecily. You transported back with your husband. You successfully focused. However, you see your husband in front of you. This time, this is not a date. This feels different. Not menacing. Helpful. You feel him touch your shoulder. I know I haven't been here, but I'm here now. This is different from before. You knew before it wasn't him. But this feels right. And you feel him almost give you inspiration and a drive. You get a +1 d6 on your next roll, as your husband's spirit is with you now. We're going to move back to Diantha. We're going to go ahead and rectify the rest of this. Virginia, what did you get on your move roll?
So apparently the dice roller really likes me today. I can send you a picture, North, but
Sure,
I
I
decided
believe you.
to spend a drive and I got a 4, a 5, and a 6.
A 4, 5, and a 6, and we're gonna go ahead and take that 6, I'm assuming. So your legs are moving almost Scooby-Doo-like towards this thing. As Diantha and Virginia, let's you two describe how you guys take care of the rest of this situation. And along with the help of Echo and Myra. Echo and Myra, you're both mentally in tune with Peter right now. You are holding up his whole mental constraint right now as much as possible. Virginia and Diantha, you're on the outside trying to hurt this thing. And Cecily, you are currently having a very touching moment with your husband, no pun intended. how do you guys solve this? I'd like for you guys to all kind of come together and tell me how you like to take care of this situation. And we're going to start with Diantha and Virginia.
Well, I think Virginia would, realizing that she can actually move, would have waited for Diantha to finish lighting the mahogany club on fire, make sure it was properly lit first, and then as she looks at you, Diantha, I think you would see the fear in her eyes. She wants to do this. She wants to save Wendy, but she can't do it alone. And I think she would sort of wait for you to take the club along with her and push 100% forward with her.
100%. Because any other matches that Diantha has, she's going to make sure that this club stays lit as she grabs on with her left hand with Virginia, and she kind of pushes it forward a little, and she goes, I'm right here. We'll make sure that we I guess, finish your case. Don't worry, we'll keep it lit. Lead the way.
Okay. All right. And you see her sort of grit her teeth, sort of noticing the strange taste in her mouth from the scar that she took earlier. But she sort of puts it behind her, and she almost lets out a battle cry of sorts as she rushes forward with it, just aiming it straight at the thing.
Perfect. We're gonna jump to Myra and Echo. What is it that you guys are both tag teaming on this dude?
Echo really is kind of, generally speaking, a magnet for people's feelings, both physical and emotional. She's very incredibly empathetic, and I think in this moment she is trying to flip what this entity is experiencing and have it feel what it's inflicting.
Ooh. Okay.
Especially since she's taking the scar for this. She's taking kind of the mental stress and damage for this, and she's used kind of the bleed as a conduit to connect to it in the first place. And I think what she's trying to do is she's trying to kind of weaponize this thing that she experiences constantly.
We're not gonna even roll for that. That's fucking cool. That was so cool. That was so creative. I didn't even think about that. That's amazing. We're gonna say that Echo's role there is successful, and you start to see Peter change his tone to you, Myra. As you, what was it that you said? You're not that powerful? And you watch Wendy's body do things that it's not supposed to be doing. However, as he's trying and focus, Echo gets through subconsciously, and you watch him kind of flinch back, almost as a scared dog would.
That's what I said. Looks like I was right.
What would you like to do, Myra?
I want him to answer my question. I want to know what he wants.
Myra
Okay.
and
He's
Echo are
going
the tag team.
to-
Let's go.
He's going to show you in flashes of images. He's going to respond to you. But he's not going to say anything. He's going to show you what they are. Echo, you don't see these images. However, Myra, you see them all. And the images that are flashed before you are 3 scientists working together alongside Peter. You watch as they collaborate together on on electricity. They are working together as scientists to try to end the war. Peter worked day and night, and these are just flashes of images in front of you. Peter works day and night on these. He got the breakthrough. However, Michael was jealous, and you see Michael's face as he looks at Peter, and he goes to his superiors and starts putting doubt in their head, telling them that Peter is unstable. Peter is not someone who can be trusted with this. And Michael talks about how he can take over and that he can be the lead. The Periphery come and take Peter away and lock him in the asylum, as they show him as mentally unstable on paper. Michael, Wendy, and John conspired together to get rid of Peter and take the credit. And as he shows you that last piece of information, he then shows you the dead corpses of John and Michael, and then shows you Wendy. And then you hear, "This is what I want." What do you do?
If you get her, then what?
Then we can expose the world to the false idols.
Revenge or recognition? You can choose one.
He's not going to answer as he looks at you and smiles. You are a smart one. And we're gonna go to Cecily. What is it that you do?
I'm back in like the room with everything here. Yep. Okay.
Now you have, and the four of you cannot see this. However, Cecily, you feel the presence of something next to you.
Okay. Is there some way that I can use a sway?
Sure.
To try to add to, along with this presence next to me, and I can tell that this is not a presence that is out to hurt us.
Correct.
Is that correct?
That is correct.
I'd like to try to take that energy and kind of flare it out.
Sure.
Again, the power of this presence behind me, this insistence that we're going to get this person out of this, and we're going to get out with evidence of what happened and say, you're going to take the recognition, and try to add to Myra's intimidation here.
Sure.
And hopefully make a sway roll for this, perhaps?
You're not going to need to for this. However, what I will say is the following. As you say this, a bright light seems to come out, protrude out of your chest. And the smell of flowers enter your nostril. And you feel the presence of something familiar come over you. You feel your husband's touch. His scent. And the flowers he gave you. As you do, a light bursts out of you. Alongside Virginia rushing in with this mahogany club and Echo's turn of the tide. We watch as this light engulfs this room. Virginia, you swing at Peter, not knowing if this is going to work. And this light engulfs this area. You watch as the ichor dissipates and gets engulfed in light. The answers that you seek, Myra, will not be told tonight. As Peter screams out in pain as we watch this light engulf this room and narrowly escapes out the back window. We watch the body of Wendy Darling drop to the floor, still breathing. What would you guys like to do?
Can I talk to her?
Yes.
Diantha immediately goes to Wendy and starts to assess her wounds, whatever's going on, because she saw what happened the last time, looking for any claw marks, anything.
Sure. When you look at Wendy, she's obviously banged up. She is pretty broken. There should be limbs that are not twisted the way that they should be. She's in an immense pain. You can try to talk to her if you choose to do so. I will not be screaming for Wendy, but you can imagine that is coming out of her mouth right now.
Oh, so she's conscious.
Oh, yes, she's conscious.
Like, out of trance conscious.
Out of trance conscious, on the floor,
Okay.
Yelling.
Then I rescind my talk to her.
Yeah. Just kidding. Oh my God.
Reminder, Myra takes care of children.
Yes.
Myra is terrifying. I don't know what's going on there, but we love to see it. Diantha is gonna look around the room at the group. She's conscious, but it's gonna be a rough go to get her back to where she needs to. I don't know how much energy she has left as she leans down next to her. If anybody needs to speak to her other than checking how she is, you don't have much time. Let's put it that way. Does anybody want to say anything else before Diantha starts?
Cecily, the
Yes.
presence that you felt right before the light burst from you is gone.
Do I have a sense of gone as in left from this place, or gone as in dispelled and is no longer?
Gone from this place. They're not around.
Okay.
So, Echo is very much still kind of staring at the spot where Peter was, as like the whole room kind of is like this tinny ringing in her ears. And I think this point is probably where like the effect of kind of flipping that kind of hits her, and the very tips of her fingers up until about halfway up her fingers start turning black. I'm gonna call it a touch of fear.
Cool.
And just on both of her hands for about like halfway up her fingers, it's just this black, like weird kind of morphing of her fingers. And then as she kind of back into it, she kind of stumbles to the floor and it like is just kind of having a moment to herself. She seems fine. She's just experiencing.
As all of you are huddled around Wendy, she happens to whisper out a couple words. She can't really say much besides ow. But what you do manage to get is her and Peter shared a connection. And he mentioned something about a masquerade. And that it would be the perfect place for... And you watch her collapse. She is not dead, but she is unconscious. The camera zooms out of this location, and we are now brought to a different location. Here, the camera zooms in on a dimly lit room, adorned with a mishmash of elegant and bizarre decorations. You watch as this figure dances around the room. Still getting over everything that has gone to play. Everything that's happened the last couple of days. Things are not always what they seem. This room is a chaotic blend of luxury and madness. Fine silk and draperies are hung along the strange, twisted sculptures. And a chandelier made of teacups and saucers casts flickering shadows on the wall. We watch as this person dressed in an elegant and elaborate suit of deep purples and greens adjusts his mask and places his top hat at a jaunty angle. He takes a moment to admire his reflection in the mirror. He has a mix of eccentric charm and unsettling intensity. His hands are now covered with gloves, and he adjusts the lapels of his coat as he lets out a sigh. On a small cluttered desk near the window, an open ink bottle and a quill lay beside a piece of parchment. And we watch as this gentleman sits down, his mind momentarily drifting away from everything else that catches his attention. You watch as he slowly dips the quill into the ink and and begins to write. Mi querida, as the hour of the baile de mascaradas approaches, I find myself the sound of loud siren start to make its way into our ear. We can hear every word now, can truly make out what is being said. Although the last words we can make out before the camera zooms out is La emoción y el caos de la noche serán. The camera continues to zoom away as we can't hear the rest of the letter or the thoughts of this person anymore. You do watch as the camera picks up tendrils coming off of this person's body as he continues to write this letter. And in the distance, all you can hear is the sound of a clock. And that is where we end tonight's episode.